It began with silence, the kind of silence that made even machines stop and listen. In a small research base on the icy plains of northern Greenland, Dr. Arya Malik sat in front of a blinking console. Her fingers trembled slightly, not from the cold, but from what she had just done. A signal one designed to reach the far edges of the galaxy had been sent. Transmission complete. The AI assistant said softly. Arya leaned back in her chair. For 5 years, her team had worked on this project. They believed they could make peaceful contact with alien life. Every calculation, every code, every test, they believed it was the right thing to do. But as the console lights dimmed for a second, something in her chest felt heavy. Like she had just kicked open a door she wasn't supposed to touch. A knock came at the lab door. It was Lieutenant Ray Carter, the military observer assigned to their project. He stepped in with narrowed eyes. "You sent it?" he asked. Arya nodded. "Yes, it's done." Ray didn't look happy. He crossed his arms, watching her. "You know this signal wasn't cleared for launch. You were told to wait for approval from command." Arya stood up slowly. "We didn't have time. The alignment was perfect tonight. If we missed this window, we'd have to wait another year." Ray sighed. "You don't know what you've done." Suddenly, the lights flickered. The screens blinked, then went black for 2 full seconds. The base's backup power kicked in with a low hum. "Was that normal?" Arya asked, her voice quiet. "No," Ray replied. "That was not normal." At the same moment, across the world, strange things began to happen. In Tokyo, dozens of communication satellites blinked offline at the same time. In Cape Canaveral, security cameras on a decommissioned launch site captured something moving fast through the clouds. In London, astronomers at a private observatory noticed a dark shape hiding between Mars and Jupiter. Something had heard the signal, and it was already watching. Back in Greenland, Dr. Malik's team tried to stay calm. But within hours, the world began to change. The next morning, global news stations reported sudden power failures in major cities. New York, Berlin, Sydney, Moscow all experienced brief blackouts. No explanation was given. Military radars picked up strange reflections in low orbit. Engineers at Space Command said it looked like satellites. But the numbers didn't match. These weren't Earth-made machines. By the time world leaders gathered for a secret emergency meeting, the truth was already leaking online. Videos of triangular shapes moving through clouds. People recording strange pulses in the night sky. Animals acting wild, running, hiding, screaming. Then, a hidden satellite, never launched by any known country, activated above Earth, and it spoke. Signal confirmed. Origin, Class 4 intelligence. Planet 73K. Status, invasive. Notify the Dominion. The message wasn't meant for humans. But a hacker in Brazil intercepted it by accident. He leaked the translation onto the internet. The panic was instant. What did it mean? Who was the Dominion? What was Class 4 intelligence? And why did it call Earth invasive? Governments tried to shut it down. But it was too late. Fear had already taken root. Arya stared at the decrypted message. On her screen, she had only wanted to connect with others, prove humans weren't alone. Maybe even ask for help solving Earth's growing problems: climate, disasters, pollution, war. Instead, she had invited something cold and calculating. "We need to shut everything down," she said. "No more signals, no more data. We go dark." But Ray shook his head. "It won't matter. They already know we're here." That night, she had a nightmare. In it, she stood on a burned planet, skies full of smoke, cities broken like toys. Giant machines hovered in the sky, sucking the life from the Earth. She saw humans screaming, running, hiding, and in the middle of it all, one tall figure in black armor. Its eyes glowing like dying suns. It turned its head toward her and whispered, "You called us." The next day, every deep space telescope across the globe pointed in one direction, Sector 9 Gamma. Near a dying star, something was coming, and it was fast. Faster than any known spacecraft. Could travel, faster than physics should allow. The object wasn't transmitting. It didn't send greetings or warnings. It moved in complete silence, like a spear thrown through space. One analyst said it would reach Earth's orbit in 9 days. Another corrected him, 8.5. Military leaders across Earth scrambled. Satellite weapons were powered up. Hidden arsenals were unlocked. Even rival countries began working together, realizing what was at stake. But fear grew stronger than unity. Nations blamed each other, accused each other of calling the enemy. Arya sat alone in her lab, watching the news. Double quotes. Global emergency declared. Citizens told to stay indoors. Air travel suspended worldwide. Space agencies silent. Panic growing. And then came a sound, a soft, steady ping from her console. She leaned closer. Her heart stopped. It was a response from the thing that was coming. She pressed the play button. A cold, static-filled voice echoed in the lab, not in English, not in any language known to man, but somehow she understood. Your invitation is accepted. Prepare for extinction. She ran outside into the snow, looked up at the stars. So many of them looked peaceful, but now one of them held death. She fell to her knees. I'm sorry, she whispered. I didn't mean to. Ray ran out after her, holding a printed message. They decoded the rest, he said, panting. The full message. It's worse than we thought. Arya looked up at him, tears freezing on her cheeks. What does it say? He handed her the paper. She read it slowly. Planet 73K initiated first contact. Classified as resource-rich, weak defenses. Non-hive species, harvest authorized, no mercy. Her hands dropped to her sides. Ray knelt beside her. We have to warn the others. We need to find a way to stop this. But she didn't answer. She just stared at the sky, because far above them, something shifted. Stars blinked unnaturally. Not twinkling blinking. And when they stopped, a giant black shadow began moving across the stars. No engines. No sound. Just movement, like something ancient waking up. 4 days later, the United Nations broadcast one final message. A man with gray hair and tired eyes stood before the camera. This is a message to whoever is out there. We do not seek war. We only wished for connection. If you come in peace, we will welcome you. If not, then know this: humans may fall, but we will never kneel. The feed cut off moments later. Earth went silent. In a hidden base in the Pacific, deep underground, Rook, an old man with a cybernetic arm and scars. Across his face opened a steel door no one had touched in 50 years. Behind it was something built long ago. Not by this generation, not even by this species, but it bore the human symbol on its side. A fist holding a flame. He stared at it and whispered, "Guess we're doing this again," and pressed the button. Somewhere in the darkness, old machines began to breathe. The sky didn't change all at once. It began with strange clouds moving in ways they shouldn't, twisting against the wind, shaping into spirals, forming eyes that stared down. Then came the silence. Not the kind of silence that comes with peace. This one was heavy. It crushed sound. Birds didn't chirp. Winds didn't blow. Machines didn't hum. Even the oceans held their breath. People all over the planet looked up, sensing something was wrong. Something ancient, watching, high above Earth. Something massive moved behind the moon. No telescope could track it. No satellite showed it. But the shadow it cast was real. Over China, the power grid crashed for 3 seconds. In Brazil, aircraft lost contact and crashed in the jungle. In Canada, every compass spun like it was drunk. The signs were clear. Something had arrived, but it wasn't showing itself. Not yet. Dr. Arya Malik was in a secure government facility now. Her team had been moved under military protection after the signal's response. She watched the global feeds as the news showed. Chaos. People prayed, rioted, fled. But Arya was silent. She was staring at a simple graph, a signal reading. It pulsed once every 3 seconds, and each pulse was getting closer. They're in orbit, she said quietly. Ray Carter, now fully armed in a tactical suit, nodded. Our satellites are blind. Ground radars pick up nothing. It's like they're wrapped in shadows, Arya whispered. No, not shadows. They are the shadows. At the United Defense Center in Switzerland, generals and scientists gathered. Is it a fleet? One asked. No formation, no heat signatures, no radio emissions. Then how do we know it's even real? Someone placed a picture on the table. It was a photo taken from a remote mountain in Nepal. The sky looked normal except for one strange, sharp triangle, barely visible, like a tear in the stars. Another general walked in, pale. I think they've landed. That night, in 5 major cities, New York, Beijing, Johannesburg, London, and Sydney, strange black towers appeared. Not crashing, not flying, rising out of the ground. People screamed, ran, filmed, prayed. The towers had no doors, no lights, no markings. But as the moonlight touched them, they shimmered slightly, almost like they were alive. The military moved in. Tanks surrounded the towers. Drones flew around them, but the towers didn't react until 3 a.m. local time, when the first tower made a sound, a deep, humming growl that wasn't sound at all but vibration. Every glass window in the city cracked. Every human within 1 kilometer passed out. One soldier's brain boiled from the inside. The towers had spoken. Earth just didn't understand the language. In the secret base under the Pacific, the old man Rourke stood before a glowing sphere. A machine hummed behind him, ancient, cold, angry. A voice spoke beside him, female, but not human. Energy signature matches the Krozuk. They are here, Rourke grunted. I figured. They always show up quiet. No lights, no talk, just death. The female voice asked, do you activate the Guardian? He looked at the control panel. Rusted switches, ancient symbols. His hand hovered over a red button. They're not just here to scare us. They're softening the planet, he muttered. Sucking power, testing minds, weakening defenses. He pressed the button. Deep beneath the base, something huge opened its eyes. Back in Greenland, Arya's lab suddenly lit up. A new signal came through, but it wasn't alien. It was human. Old, forgotten, buried beneath military codes from decades ago. Ray read the message aloud. Earth Protocol 7 is Protocol 7 is code protocols from decades ago. Ray read the message aloud. Earth Protocol 7 is live. Guardian wakes. You are not alone. Arya's eyes widened. What is Guardian? Ray stared at her. Not what, who? Across the world, every black tower released a second pulse. This time, animals died instantly. Birds dropped from the sky. Fishes floated to the surface of lakes. Dogs howled. Clawing their ears, humans began to hallucinate visions of burning worlds. Black ships, screaming stars. Some went mad. Some simply dropped dead. Arya and her team wore advanced neural helmets, barely protected. But even she saw flashes. A world torn in half, cities floating in space, burning. A giant creature made of metal and bone screaming across the stars. And always, the same phrase echoed. You invited this. Back in the Pacific base, Rourke walked into a massive chamber. A giant humanoid figure stood in the center, half machine, half living tissue. Its arms were thick with plasma channels. Its chest pulsed with energy. It had no face, but it turned as if it saw him. Rourke nodded. Welcome back, old friend. The machine stepped forward, shaking the room. Its voice was deep and rumbling. Threat detected, Krozuk. Rourke said, yeah, They're here for the harvest. Like last time. The Guardian looked up. Earth will not fall. In orbit, for the first time, the shadow moved into light. Millions of humans saw it on phones. On satellite feeds, in the sky. It was like a spider made of steel, miles wide. Floating silently. No engines. No wings. Just limbs, weapons, and eyes. Glowing red. More ships emerged behind. It. Big, angular, silent. The invasion had begun, but no soldiers came down, because the towers were the soldiers, each one unfolded, revealing tall, thin figures with blades for arms and eyes that never blinked. They moved fast, killed faster, but they didn't go after cities. They moved toward power stations, communication hubs, and water sources. They weren't conquering. They were starving Earth. By the third day, half the world's systems were offline, satellites dead, electric grids broken. Water supplies contaminated. The Krezak had done this to hundreds of worlds. Earth was just the next target. But this time, something was different. The Guardian stepped out of its vault beneath the ocean. A massive gate opened. Water boiled. The machine rose from the depths, taller than a skyscraper, pulsing with forgotten power. It walked on the seafloor, unbothered by pressure. Krezak scouts detected movement. They tried to stop it. 15 drones fired plasma. The Guardian raised one hand. The ocean burned for a mile when it reached land. Humans watched it with wide eyes. And hope. Arya, watching from the base, said, "We didn't just wake a weapon." Ray added, "We woke up vengeance." Across the world, as the towers attacked, resistance groups formed. Not armies. Just people. Men, women, children. Using what they had: guns, drones, fire, rocks. They refused to die quietly. Even as Krezak scythes cut through buildings, even as people screamed, humans fought back. Bleeding. Burning. But fighting. In the final hours of the day, something changed. One Krezak unit reported a failure, then another. Then 10 more. Their towers were disappearing. Not destroyed. Consumed. By something moving faster than radar, hitting harder than their shields could handle. The hive mind tried to adapt. Too late. The Guardian reached the first tower and crushed it in a single blow. The people of Earth looked up that night. The stars were still hidden, but a new sound filled the air. Not fear. Not silence, but a roar. The kind that said, "We're not done yet." The sky broke open on the fourth day. Every camera, every telescope, every satellite, even the ones barely working, caught it. A black hole didn't appear, but it felt like one did. The stars above Earth twisted, light bent unnaturally, and then something stepped through the curve of space. Not one ship, not even 10, but an entire armada. The Krezak Dominion had arrived. From the ground, they looked like shadows with lightning inside. Some were shaped like giant blades. Others looked like burning bones. And the largest one 5 times the size of Earth's moon floated silently, its hull covered in red symbols that glowed like fresh blood. People on every continent stopped to look. And for a moment, all of humanity froze. This wasn't science fiction anymore. It was happening. In New Delhi, a woman dropped her phone and stared at the sky. In Nigeria, a boy stood on top of his father's car and pointed at the stars. In Paris, 2 soldiers lowered their rifles and whispered, "God help us." And in the Pacific base, Rourke looked up at the screen and muttered, "Here comes the Queen." The Krezak ships made no sound. They didn't hail. They didn't warn. They simply spread across the planet like a disease. And below, their towers, now fully active, began pulsing with a rhythm. It wasn't a countdown. It was a signal. A call. Something worse was coming. Dr. Arya Malik stood in the control room with Ray and other surviving scientists. They had just received a decrypted message from the Orbital Defense Network. Ray read it aloud. Dominion Fleet Class, Omega. Purpose, planetary cleansing. Status, Complete destruction expected in 72 hours. Recommend immediate surrender or underground relocation. No one spoke. Then a junior officer asked, "Should we surrender?" Arya stepped forward. Her voice was steady, cold. "No, we've made our decision. Now we live or die with it." Up in orbit, the lead Krozak ship opened its core. Inside was the Queen, not a creature of flesh but energy, hatred, and memory. Her body was built from the screams of lost civilizations. She had no eyes, no voice, but her presence filled the minds of every human at once, even children. "You are noise," the message echoed in every brain. "You are disorder. You are not part of the order. You must be erased." At that moment, the Krozak began their attack. Lasers didn't fall. Missiles weren't launched. Instead, they stole gravity. In Rio de Janeiro, buildings floated 10 meters into the air before smashing down. In Seoul, rivers reversed direction. In Los Angeles, cars lifted, flipped, and crashed like toys. People screamed. Some prayed. Others fought. But the message was clear. This was not war. This was cleansing. The Guardian, now fully active, marched through Central Asia. It had destroyed 5 towers, crushed 2 Krozak drop pods, and absorbed alien tech into its body. It was evolving, but it was also slowing down. Rourke stood beside its mobile core unit, watching the data. "She's getting stronger," he said. "But they're adapting." The AI voice replied, "Guardian's energy core is unstable. Overuse may trigger fusion collapse." Rourke smirked. "Let's just hope we break them before she breaks herself." In space, the Queen watched the Guardian. She felt its signature. She remembered it. "One of the old ones," she said through the hive mind. "We ended them before. We will end this one too." She ordered her elite unit forward. 7 Krozak war beasts. Part machine, part living matter, all destruction. They descended on the Guardian like sharks smelling blood. The battle shook the earth. Some saw it from thousands of miles away. Bright flashes in the sky, clouds forming rings, air splitting. The Guardian caught the first war beast with one hand and ripped it apart like paper. But the others swarmed. Lasers burned its outer layer. Kinetic blasts broke off pieces. For a moment, it stumbled. Then it roared, a sound older than language. Back in the Greenland base, Arya and her team tracked the fight. She stared at the data feed. "She's holding them, but not for long." Ray looked grim. "If the Guardian falls, we're done." Arya opened a sealed file, something she had never shown anyone. It was labeled Project Mindfire. She hesitated. Then clicked Activate. Across the globe, hidden towers lit up. Not Krozak ones, but human-built. Signals bounced between them. A frequency began to rise, one meant only for the human brain. The goal wasn't to attack. It was to unlock. Millions of people fell to their knees. Their eyes glowed for 3 seconds. And then something changed. Memories from ancestors flooded in. Visions of old wars. Knowledge from forgotten times. A message repeated across Earth. "You are not just human. You are legacy." The Krozak felt it too. Fear. One of the Queen's war beasts froze in mid-air. Then fell. Crashed. Exploded. Humans had turned something on. And the Dominion didn't understand it. The Guardian rose from the crater, energy bursting from its chest. Its voice echoed across Earth. Earth remembers. It slammed its fists together. Sent a shockwave across Asia. Towers shattered. Krozak units melted. People rose and fought back. In cities, humans armed with scavenged Krozak weapons pushed back. They didn't need orders. They just needed purpose. And the frequency gave them that. The Queen paused. Her mind processed 400 billion calculations a second. But one thought repeated. Earth was not dying. Earth was becoming something worse. Something the Dominion couldn't predict. Back at the base, Ray smiled. "They're scared," he said. Arya whispered. "Good." But then, the lights dimmed. A new signal came in. Strong. Encrypted. Ancient. Rourke looked at it and froze. "No," he muttered. Arya stepped forward. "What is it?" He turned to her slowly. "That wasn't the full Dominion fleet." High above, near Saturn, a second gate opened. 5 more ships stepped through, each one larger than the first. And from the center, a new voice, colder than death. Not the Queen, but her king, the one who only arrives when extinction is guaranteed. The cold in Antarctica had never bothered Commander Rourke. He had walked through fire, poison storms, and radiation fields. But this cold was different. It wasn't the kind that touched skin. It was the kind that touched memory. Something ancient was buried here, and it was waking up. 3 kilometers below the frozen surface, a group of soldiers and scientists stood in front of a sealed door. Its metal was black, older than human history. Strange symbols covered it, some glowing faintly. Dr. Arya Malik stared at it. "These aren't human markings." Rourke replied, "Not human, not alien either, something in between." Ray Carter looked uneasy. "You're saying we built this?" "No," Rourke answered. "We didn't, but someone like us did. Long before our time." He pressed his hand against the panel. A scanner flickered. "Access granted. Bloodline matched." The door opened. Air that hadn't moved in thousands of years rushed past them like a whisper. Inside, the walls were smooth, almost organic. A faint hum came from deep below. As they walked, strange lights activated one by one. The place didn't feel abandoned. It felt like it had been waiting. Rourke led them down a wide corridor to a chamber that curved like a rib cage. In the center stood a tall sarcophagus. Its shape was humanoid, its color dull silver, and its energy terrifying. "This is it," Rourke said. "Project Leviathan." Arya stepped forward. "What is it?" Rourke looked her in the eyes. "Not a weapon. A being, one of the last Titans." Ray raised a brow. "A Titan?" Rourke nodded. "Before the Krazak wiped out ancient Earth's defenders, they created 7 of these. Only one survived. They sealed it here to keep it safe and dangerous." Arya whispered, "What does it do?" Rourke turned slowly. "It destroys nightmares." Back in orbit, the Krazak Queen sensed something, a pulse. A wave. Not from Earth's surface, but from beneath. She paused. Her cold voice entered the hive mind. "Another one. One we missed. Older than the Guardian. Waking. Dangerous." She ordered a strike. Above Antarctica, a massive Krazak ship broke through clouds. Its body shimmered like fire in ice. Weapons armed. Targets locked. But before it could fire, the mountain below exploded. A beam of red light shot through the clouds, slicing the ship in half. The pieces didn't fall. They vanished, turned to ash. The sarcophagus below opened. Steam rose from the stone floor. And the Titan took its first breath in 1,000 years. It stood over 20 feet tall, its body a blend of armor, living metal, and muscle. Eyes burning blue. A strange crest on its chest pulsed with energy. It looked human. But it we was send single quotes to, that was something more. The Titan stared at Rourke, then knelt. Arya gasped. "It knows you?" Rourke nodded. "Not me, my blood." He stepped forward. The Titan placed its hand on Rourke's shoulder. A wave of information passed between them. Battle plans. Memories. Old wars. The truth. Rourke turned to the others. "He remembers everything, including how to kill the Krazak king." Ray stepped back. "Wait, the king? I thought the Queen was in charge." "No," Rourke said. "The Queen cleans, but the king erases planets, species, time itself." Arya looked shaken. "So what do we do?" Rourke grinned. "We introduce him to something we buried for a day, just like this." In orbit, the king arrived. His ship wasn't built like others. It looked like a star collapsed into armor. Gravity bent around it. Light refused to touch it. Even the queen bowed. Kruzak Hive whispered, "The end has come." But the king paused. He felt resistance, not fear, not surrender, but something that made him curious. Earth was fighting back. The Titan called. Leviathan stepped onto the surface of the snow-covered continent. Kruzak's ships moved toward him. He raised one hand. Wires shot from his arms, pierced the sky. One by one, the ships fell ripped apart. Their pieces reformed into his armor. He consumed their technology. And improved. The Guardian, still active in Asia, turned its head, recognized the energy signature. Leviathan, it said. Last of the seven, brother. They connected silently. Titan and Guardian, both created for one reason. War. In cities around the world, humans watched the skies. Two beings, one from the sea, one from the ice, rose together. And the Kruzak, for the first time in their history, hesitated. The king sent a command. Every Kruzak unit on Earth turned toward Antarctica. They flew, they fired. Leviathan waited. When they reached him, he moved. It wasn't a fight. It was a message. The way he tore through them, blade, beam, fist, it said only one thing: you are not gods here. In orbit, the king prepared to descend. Rourke watched from the command center. He's coming. Arya looked up. What happens when he lands? Rourke answered, if we don't stop him before he touches the ground, Earth will be his. Arya accessed Leviathan's neural core. Can he win? The Titan looked at her. Its voice was deep and slow. Alone? No. Together? Maybe. Ray asked, then what do we do? Rourke said, we go with him. They entered the transport pod. And began the journey to orbit. Above them, the king descended. His armor cracked the sky. He didn't bring ships. He was the ship. Inside Earth's atmosphere. Clouds caught fire. Tides surged. Air pressure collapsed. But Leviathan rose through it all. And when the two finally met, it was like thunder meeting stone. They clashed in the upper atmosphere. Punches that could level cities. Energy blasts that bent space. Guardian fired from the surface, covering his brother. But the king adapted, changed shape, became faster. Sharper. Stronger. Arya accessed Leviathan's power core. There's a second form. It's locked. Rourke placed his hand on the core. Unlock it. A code, genetic, ancient, forbidden, centered the system. Leviathan roared and transformed. Wings of plasma burst from his back. His arms became cannons. His chest opened to reveal a sun-like core. He charged, and this time, the king bled. The battle lit up the world. People stopped running. They watched, and they believed, even if they didn't understand what they saw. They felt it, for the first time in days. Hope. But as Leviathan struck the king's heart, something happened. The sky cracked. Not with sound, with space. A tear opened. Another fleet waited behind it. Not Krazak. Not human. Something else. Watching. And waiting for the winner. Above the earth, space was on fire. Two gods battled in the sky. Leviathan, Earth's last titan. The king, destroyer of worlds. They moved faster than thought, heavier than mountains. Their strikes lighting up the night like second suns. Every blow shook the upper atmosphere. The oceans below responded with massive waves. Earthquakes rippled through the continents. But Earth didn't break. It stood. And watched. From every corner of the world. Humans were no longer running, no longer hiding. They were rising. A new kind of war had begun. Not just machines versus machines, but humanity itself waking up. In Paris, a boy whose father was killed by a Kruzak drone picked up a fallen alien weapon. It recognized him, bonded with his mind. His scream became a sonic shockwave that brought down a tower. In Kenya, an old tribal chief whispered a forgotten chant. His voice aligned with a buried human frequency. activating dormant energy from ancient ancestors' energy that cracked Kruzak armor like glass. In Tokyo, a young woman touched a downed alien beacon and saw visions, not of fear, but of strategy. Tactics flowed through her. She led hundreds with perfect precision. Earth was changing, not into something new, but into what it had always been, before it forgot. In the command room deep inside the Guardian's mobile unit, Dr. Arya Malik monitored the orbital battle. Leviathan had wounded the king, but it wasn't enough. The king adapted. His armor thickened. His limbs split into whip-like blades. His energy signature rose past the limits of any known measurement. Ray Carter watched from the side. "We need more. A lot more." Rook stepped forward. "Then it's time." He opened a small case and revealed something terrifying. A round, black stone glowing from the inside. Arya's eyes widened. "Is that?" "Yes," Rook said. "The catalyst. It connects all human minds. It was too dangerous before. But now?" Arya asked. "Now we need danger." At the heart of the Guardian, Rook placed the catalyst in a chamber. The machine paused. Then shuddered. Every human who had ever lived left something behind in the catalyst. Echoes, pain, rage, dreams, fear. Now all of it came back, across the planet. People felt it. A surge through their bodies, a heat in their veins, a whisper in their minds. "You are not broken. You are not weak. You are many. And you are one." The Guardian stood tall. Its arms extended. And from it, threads of light stretched out across the globe. They didn't destroy. They linked. Humans from every continent suddenly felt each other. Not just thoughts, but purpose. Unity like never before. King felt it too, a pulse of human defiance. He turned toward the Earth, pausing mid-battle. A new calculation began in his mind. Humanity is evolving. Probability of total extinction dropping. But the king wasn't alone. The queen's voice echoed across the stars. "Then crush them now, before they become something worse." The king surged forward again, slamming. Leviathan threw a chunk of orbital debris. Leviathan's body cracked, but didn't fall. Inside, the Titan's core glowed brighter. He whispered, "Together." Back on Earth, small Kruzak units attacked a refugee camp in Alaska. This time, they were met not by soldiers, but children holding hybrid tech. A 10-year-old girl launched an EMP arrow made from a broken alien blade. A boy rode a scavenged drone. Like a wolf, throwing firebombs, the Kruzak fell, and the humans laughed, not with joy, but with power. Arya monitored everything. The catalyst is working. It's boosting instinct, memory, reaction time. They're fighting smarter, faster. Ray grinned. "We've just turned Earth into one giant hive. But it's not ruled by fear. It's ruled by freedom." Meanwhile, Leviathan and the king crashed through low orbit. Their battle caused meteor showers, thunderstorms, static pulses that killed satellites. But Leviathan wasn't alone anymore. The Guardian launched a support pod. Inside it, two enhanced humans connected to the catalyst. One of them, Arya, she wore neural armor. Her thoughts flowed directly into Leviathan's systems. Now, humanity wasn't watching the battle. They were inside it. The king's sensors detected the new connection. He changed tactics. He began to speak. His voice entered Arya's mind. "You fear me, but I am mercy. I erase pain. I bring peace through silence." Arya pushed back. "No, you erase truth. You kill what you don't understand." The king showed her visions. Planets burned, species crushed, stars eaten. This is survival. She showed him Earth's history, its wars, pain, but also its music, love, and hope. This is life. For the first time in its existence. The king hesitated, but the queen screamed in fury. Her hive pulsed. Every remaining Kruzak unit dove toward Leviathan like a swarm. Too many. Too fast. Even with power, they were going to be overwhelmed. until a new roar shook the sky. Not Leviathan. Not the Guardian. Something else. From deep underground in South America. A hidden vault opened. Out of it rose another Titan, smallest of the three. Sleek. Black as space. Eyes white. No weapons visible. But when it moved, everything around it froze. The air stopped. Time felt like it slowed. It was called Oblivion. Oblivion. Didn't fly. It stepped once and appeared in orbit. Its body rippled, and in a single breath, it erased hundreds of Krozak drones. No fire. No sound. Just absence. The Queen's hive screamed. The king turned. But too late. Oblivion placed one hand on him. And whispered a code. A virus. Old. Forbidden. From the ones you erased. We return. The king's body jerked. He began to fracture. Leviathan took the chance. Punched deep into his core. The Guardian fired a final beam from Earth. 3 Titans. One strike. The king exploded. A shockwave spread across space. On the ground, every Krozak unit collapsed. The towers cracked. Ships fell from orbit. The Queen's scream echoed across the stars and went silent. For a moment, there was stillness. Smoke, stars, silence. Then a cheer. From every corner of Earth. From caves. From cities. From forests. Humans shouted one word. Victory. But Arya didn't cheer. She stared at the tear in space left behind by the king. Behind it were shapes. Not Krazak. Not human. Still watching. Waiting. Rourke stepped beside her. They're not done, are they? She shook her head. No. This wasn't the end. She looked up at the 3 Titans, Guardian, Leviathan, and Oblivion, floating in orbit. It was only the beginning. The king was gone. His body scattered across Earth's upper orbit, glowing like falling stars. Humanity cheered. The skies were finally quiet, but peace didn't last. Because high above Earth, beyond the torn edge of space, something ancient was still watching. Something worse. The Queen, inside the last Krozak ship, the hive core. The Queen stood motionless. She didn't move like a creature. She existed like a virus, wrapped in armor made from lost civilizations. Her mind stretched across dimensions. The death of the king was a wound in her mind. She felt his final thoughts, his last fear. And now she burned, not with rage, but with purpose. The king has fallen. Her voice echoed into the Krozak network. Now I will judge this world myself. Back on Earth, Dr. Arya Malik stood inside the Leviathan's interface chamber. She had just watched a god fall, but instead of celebration, her chest felt tight. Wrong. Incomplete. Double quotes. I can still feel her. She whispered. Ray Carter, sitting beside her in neural armor, said, "The Queen?" Arya nodded. She never left. She was waiting. In orbit, the 3 Titans, Leviathan, Guardian, and Oblivion, hovered side by side. They had won the battle, but not the war. Below them, humanity was healing. Cities were dark, but full of life. Power grids were down, but people shared warmth. And food. For the first time in human history, no one asked, "What country are you from?" They only asked, "Are you okay?" But above Earth, space rippled again. This time, it wasn't a portal. It was a judgment. A shape unfolded, smooth, massive, endless. The Queen's true form entered. Real space. She didn't look like a monster. She looked like a cathedral of death. Body was shaped like a floating palace, black and gold, stretching for miles. Inside her, thoughts echoed in 1,000 languages, and all of them said the same thing. The species must be corrected. The Titans responded. Leviathan's core glowed. Guardian took aim. Oblivion simply watched, but none of them moved yet. They waited, because something was different. The Queen wasn't attacking. She was descending. Slowly. Carefully. In the command bunker in Greenland. Rourke watched the monitors. She's not here to destroy. U.S., he said. Arya looked confused. Then what? To see if we're worth letting live. The Queen's voice finally came. It reached everyone on Earth, not through radios, but directly into their thoughts. You killed my king, you burned my swarm, you broke the rules. Now, I will ask, why do you exist? No one answered. Billions of humans stood in silence. They weren't sure what she meant, until Arya stepped forward. She activated the Leviathan's come link and broadcast one word: freedom. The Queen paused. Then replied, freedom is chaos. Chaos spreads. You are viruses of emotion, conflict, illogic. Arya stood firm. Maybe, but we build, we dream, we survive. The Queen's voice hardened. If I destroy you now, the galaxy will remain clean. If I let you live, you will spread your poison to others. So I give you one choice. Above Earth, the Queen split her ship open. A beam of dark light formed between her arms. Bow, and serve thee. Dominion, or die standing. On the surface, fear returned. People dropped to their knees. Not in worship, but in terror. Children cried. Leaders hesitated. Soldiers held weapons they knew wouldn't work. But in the middle of it all, something happened. A boy in Brazil stood up, raised his hand. No. One word. One spark. It spread like fire. A woman in Germany echoed it. Then a farmer in Egypt. A child in Canada. A monk in Tibet. A prisoner in Siberia. No. Billions said it at once. Not from hate, but from will. The human choice. To be free, or not at all. The Queen felt it. For the first time, she was unsure. This species wasn't afraid of death. They didn't kneel. They didn't break. Inside the Leviathan, Arya turned to Rey. She's trying to end us with fear. But we've already faced worse. Rey nodded. Then let's remind her. All three Titans moved. Together. They didn't fly toward the Queen. They merged. A deep rumble echoed across Earth. The Guardian's frame twisted. Leviathan's wings folded. Inward, Oblivion's core darkened. And then light exploded outward. Single being emerged. A Titan with three voices. Three minds. Three purposes. It was called Eclipse. The Queen watched. And for the first time, she stepped back. Eclipse moved like thought. It crossed the distance between Earth and the Queen in a second. They clashed. The sky ripped. Oceans shook. Mountains cracked. The Earth held its breath again. Eclipse was fast. Smarter. But the Queen had more power than any being still living. She absorbed energy, reflected force, brought illusions. She showed Eclipse burning futures, broken Earths, dead stars. But Eclipse showed her something else. Hope. A child helping another. A soldier holding his wounded enemy. A teacher. A poet. A builder. A mother. Not warriors. Humans. The Queen screamed. She couldn't understand it. She had destroyed stronger civilizations, faster species, smarter races. But none of them had this. Fire. Eclipse locked its arms around the Queen. Energy surged. A message pulsed through the galaxy. Let this be the last time you judge us. And then Eclipse exploded. Light filled the sky. All across Earth, night turned to day. The Queen's ship shattered into a billion pieces, each drifting harmlessly into space. Eclipse was gone. The Titans silent. Arya fell to her knees in the control chamber. Tears rolled down her face. They're gone. Rey touched her shoulder. No, they became us. She looked up. The sky was quiet again, but it no longer felt empty. It felt watched. Not by enemies, but by protectors. From the edge of the galaxy, something else watched too. The ones behind the Queen, the ones who never interfere. They had seen enough. Humanity has chosen. Let them be. Back on Earth, fires cooled. People rebuilt. Not just cities, but each other. Earth didn't return to normal, because it was never normal again. Now it was awake. And the galaxy knew it. For the first time in weeks, Earth was silent. No alien screams. No Titan roars. No sky tearing open. Just wind, water, and life. The queen was gone, the king destroyed. And the three titans Leviathan, Guardian, Oblivion, were no more. They had merged into something greater. Something that saved Earth at the cost of itself. And now, all that was left was after Dr. Arya Malik sat on the edge of a broken satellite dish in Greenland. The snow fell gently. Her armor was scratched and half dead, but she was alive. The side. Ray Carter adjusted his helmet. He was silent too. They had fought gods, watched cities burn, heard a world scream. Now there was only one question left. What happens next? In Brazil, vines crept over a fallen alien tower. Children played nearby, using broken Krizak blades to dig trenches for toy soldiers. In Shanghai, survivors cooked food over plasma-burnt stone. They laughed. In New York, a soldier wrote names on a wall, the names of the fallen, but no one was crying anymore. Not because the pain was gone, but because the fear was all across the planet. Humanity rose again, as nations, but as one people, the catalyst still active inside. The Earth's core linked them all in small ways. Whispers across oceans. Memories from strangers. For the first time, humans felt connected, and that changed everything. High above, orbit was littered with remains. Alien ships, dead titans, burnt metal and drifting memory. But in the center of it all, one signal remained active. A small beacon. Human. Simple. Pulsing every 5 seconds. It said, "We're still here." Inside a secret chamber under the Himalayas, Commander Rourke awoke. He had been pulled out of the Leviathan just before the final merge. Doctors had placed him in stasis. Now, he gasped for air. His first words, "Did we win?" The nurse smiled. "You survived. That's more than most." Rourke stood before a war council 1 week later. Leaders from all continents sat at a round table. No flags, no borders, no ego. What do we do with the tech? One asked. Another added, "Do we rebuild what we lost, or start something new?" Rourke said nothing at first. Then he pulled out a shard of Krizak armor. Held it high. "We don't rebuild the old world," he said. "We build a better one." Deep in the Pacific Ocean, the Guardian's last piece pulsed once. A tiny spark of energy. Waiting for a reason to return. But not everything was calm, because far away, beyond even the Queen's last reach, a signal pulsed in return. Not from Krizak space, but from a different quadrant. One untouched. Unknown. And very, very curious. They survived the Dominion? Impossible. We must investigate. Something woke. And began its journey toward Earth. Meanwhile, Earth kept changing. In Kenya, a woman discovered she could control gravity for 10 seconds a day. In Canada, a young man's voice could unlock sealed alien doors. In Egypt, twins spoke a language no one taught them, one written on Krizak hulls. The catalyst had not just connected humanity, it had changed it. Dr. Arya Malik led the Human Rebirth Initiative. She traveled across the globe, helping unite resources, data, and survivors. In a speech broadcast to every working screen, she said, "We were almost wiped out, not by machines, not by aliens, but by forgetting who we are. Now we remember. We're not just survivors. We're awakening." Ray Carter trained the new defense units, called the Titan Guard. They didn't use old tanks, they didn't wear flags. They trained with alien tech, new instincts, and a global code. We protect Earth, together. One evening, Arya stood alone. On a mountain. She looked up at the stars. The sky seemed closer. Now. Different. Less like mystery, more like challenge. A soft beep pulled her attention, her personal beacon. Blinked. Unknown transmission detected. She opened it. The voice was distorted. Cracked. But clear. "Help. Help. This is Zeta 9 Outpost. Is anyone there?" Her eyes widened. The signal wasn't from Earth. Not even from the solar system. It was human. Back in the council chamber, the room erupted in questions. How is that possible? Another human colony? We were always alone. Rourke stood. He didn't look surprised. There were always secrets, he said. Now they're waking up too. 3 days later, Earth's first deep space vessel was activated. It wasn't built from steel alone, that it was shaped from Leviathan's bones, powered by Guardian's reactor core. Guided by Oblivion's navigation system, they named it Hopes. Edge, a new generation of pilots stood ready. Children of War. Students of Peace. As the ship rose from Earth's surface, every screen on the planet lit up. Arya spoke one last time before they left. We are not the same people who sent that first signal. We've paid for our decision with fire and blood. Now, we send a new message to the galaxy. Humanity is coming. Not for war, not for conquest, but to find others like us. And to make sure no one is ever alone again. And, far, far away, the ones who watched Earth shivered, because the humans had not just survived. They had awakened. And that was something the galaxy had never seen before. The stars were no longer silent. Earth had risen from fire. Humanity had endured the wrath of the Krazak Dominion. They had faced extinction and survived. Now they were reaching out again. But this time, the message wasn't a mistake. It was a warning and a promise. To any who can hear this, we are humanity. We are awake. We are not alone anymore. The ship Hope's Edge cut through space like a blade of purpose. Its frame was sleek, built from alien alloy, Titan bone, and human vision. On board were 5 crew members, all volunteers. All survivors of the war. At the front sat Commander Rourke. Now older, his left arm fully cybernetic, gifted tech from the Guardian's last system. His eyes, though tired, still burned with fire. Beside him, Dr. Arya Malik served as mission lead. Ray Carter worked the navigation table. 2 others, young, born during the war, manned the scanning and energy cores. They weren't just explorers. They were representatives, humanity's first voice beyond the ashes. Days into the journey, Arya studied the repeating signal. The strange distress call from Zeta 9 outpost. The voice was still too distorted to identify, but it was human. No doubt, that truth alone had changed Earth forever. We were never alone, she whispered. We were just forgotten. Back on Earth, humanity had entered a new age. Old governments merged. New cities rose. Instead of wars, nations sent engineers and teachers. The catalyst pulsed at the planet's core, quiet but ever present. It had changed the species. Some humans developed new instincts. Others could feel emotions across vast distances. They were not mutants. They were not gods. They were evolving. In deep space, Hope's Edge passed a dead planet. Sensors lit up. Ray frowned. There was life here once. Trees, oceans. But now, just bones. Arya scanned further. Radiation signature. Matches Dominion tech. Rourke nodded. One of the worlds they erased. Ray whispered, "How many more like this are out there?" Rourke replied, "Too many. They left a beacon behind, marked with Earth's new seal. A Titan's eye inside a human palm. We remember." On the 8th day, the signal changed. It became clearer. Sharper. The voice no longer cried for help. It called for backup. ZETA-9 is under siege. Unknown hostiles, not Krozak. Different pattern. Please respond. Coordinates attached. The crew exchanged looks. Ray muttered, "We just got out of one apocalypse." Arya answered, "Then let's make sure no one else faces one alone." Rourke smiled. Course locked. They turned the ship toward the dark. As they neared the system, the ship trembled, not from weapons, but gravity. Shifts. Waves of force that felt like silent thunder. The star ahead flickered unnaturally. And then they saw it. Zeta-9. A colony built inside a canyon world. Huge structures carved into rock. Lights flickering through alien dust. But something else floated above the planet. Something massive. Not a ship. Not a station. A Shape, like a sleeping creature. Wrapped in shadows and metal. Ray whispered, "Is that alive?" Arya stared. "I don't know, but it's watching us." They entered orbit carefully. Broadcast a message in every known language. A voice responded. "This is Commander Naya Alvarez of Zeta 9. You're human." I don't believe it," Arya replied. "We heard your signal." "We didn't send it," Naya said. "We were blocked, jammed. That thing above us. It wants you here." Suddenly, the shadow in space moved. Slowly, deliberately. It opened an eye. No iris, no pupil, just a swirling void. And then it spoke, not with words, but with thoughts. Every crew member heard the same message. "You are the fire. You burned they. Dominion, you woke the Titans, you broke the Queen. We watched. Now we will test." Gravity surged. Hope's Edge was yanked out of orbit. Alarm screamed. Ray shouted, "Engines locked." Arya's console exploded in sparks. The creature didn't attack with weapons. It attacked with memory. Each crew member was pulled into visions Rourke saw. The day he lost his brother to a Dominion raid. Arya saw her childhood when Earth was still naive. Ray saw himself alone, watching the stars, wondering if humanity mattered. The creature tested them, not their strength, but their truth. Arya fought back. She opened her mind fully, let it see not just pain, but hope. The streets of New Earth, where former enemies helped rebuild. The laughter of a girl born during the Kruzak siege, the memory of Eclipse, formed from sacrifice. She whispered, "We are not fire. We are light." The creature paused. And then it vanished. No sound. No goodbye. Just gone. And the ship floated free again. Below, Zeta 9 lit up. Thousands of humans came out of hiding. Some were older than Earth thought possible. Some had evolved. In isolation, they all stared at the sky, where Hope's Edge now hovered. And for the first time in decades, they knew they were not forgotten. 3 days later, the United Human Fleet, now 4 ships strong, left Zeta 9 behind. Earth had new allies, new stories, new questions, but one thing was now certain: the galaxy had changed. Not because of power, not because of war, but because one species, small, noisy, wild, refused to die, refused to kneel. And dared to send a signal into the dark. In the black void of deep space, another signal blinked. From a place beyond known maps, from a voice never heard before. "We heard your story. We are coming." And for once, humanity smiled, because they were ready. The end